Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. And today I want to talk about the holidays because it's that time of the year and I got my ugly sweater on, swag, and I want to talk about something very particular, which is happens to a lot of us around these times, even though we don't like to admit it because it's the more darker side of the holidays. And everyone usually thinks of holiday cheer, but there's actually a lot of depression going on. And I mean, the holidays is actually the time for some of the worst accidents of the year, not to mention a lot of people hurting themselves, like self-harming. So I want to talk about some of the things you can do to deal with that kind of mindset. And if the holidays are a big trigger for you, um, which they can be for a lot of people, I'll explain why. I think that these tips are really going to help. Now, I'm not an expert and I'm not claiming to be like a licensed professional or anything. I just wanted to give my thoughts on this as usual and try to give some how-tos on what could help and what has helped me in the past. If you are having trouble, please get help, get professional help. And if you're having an emergency, like stop this video and call 911. They will direct you to the services or hotlines you need. If you're still watching, then let's begin. Okay, so why do people get depressed during the holidays? I mean, it's a pretty common thing, so there must be some main reasons, and they're actually not what you think, because I know what would make me depressed during the holidays, but it doesn't work that way for everybody. And all of these are pretty legit, so I looked it up and these are some of the most common reasons why people get depressed during the holidays. For me, and this is the one that I relate to the most, is if there's no family to celebrate with, and because for some reason you are away from them, maybe you live in a different place, in a different country, or your family had a vacation and they all went somewhere but you couldn't go. I'm sounding like Home Alone. No, but like being on Christmas, New Year's, anything, Hanukkah, without family is tough because you feel alone. I mean, these holidays are marketed, I guess that's the right word, marketed as family time. And if you don't have family to share it with, well, you feel like extra lonely. And you start to see pictures on Instagram of everybody with their mother and everybody with their father and so-and-so's kids and I don't know, playing gift opening with children, and it can be really depressing if you don't have people to celebrate with, which goes right into the next one. If you don't have a romantic partner, that's another thing the holidays are marketed as, which is romantic times. So I don't know if this is everywhere, but in the US at midnight you're supposed to kiss your partner, and you count down 10, 9, 8, 7, and then you kiss them on the lips. And if you don't have a partner or not even like a date for that night, it can be extra lonely because everybody else seems to have it together and they seem to have a date and you feel like the only single one. So that can be pretty depressing. The next things are kind of more stressful than they are depressing, but stress can lead to depression a lot of times, and it's just like a spiral of negative emotions. But okay, so you can be depressed with no family, but you can also be stressed with family, because we all know how stressful family can be, unfortunately. Maybe there's some members that ask a lot of questions, and then maybe they sound like they have a lot of judgment and behind every word. So instead of saying how's it going, they're like, did you graduate yet? Oh, you should have done that. The messages, you should have been done with that. Okay. Or you don't have a boyfriend, or girlfriend, and then they can be like, how's work? I heard you got laid off. I don't know, just really personal questions that sometimes family has no boundaries and no filter. So that can be really stressful and depressing because you see how it ties into the other reasons, like, oh, I don't have a partner. And then you think about that and then you get depressed. Or they brought up graduation and maybe you start to get depressed because you haven't graduated and you don't have all your credits. It could be very cyclical, like stress, depression, stress, depression. Another reason could be that you are hosting the holidays, and that is insane. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be ready for that, but that can definitely be quite a task, quite a job, because you want people to be comfortable. You probably need to have lodging for everyone. You'll need to have food for everyone, make sure everybody has a good time, music. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. So if you are hosting this year, props to you, like Godspeed, because it can be so stressful to the point where like you get depressed. Also, that's another reasons. Have them written down, it's official. Some people think that the holidays have to be this perfect, like Hallmark movie, happy ending, just crazy, like nothing can go wrong. So when people hold that ideal, it sets the bar so high that anything that goes wrong, like, ruins it. So maybe somebody spilled wine on your carpet, or somebody didn't get a present. So many things, like, all of these things can happen, and no one is ever gonna have the perfect holiday. So having that, like, desire and expectation is just setting yourself up for disappointment, and it could lead to eventual depression, holiday depression. So those are some of the major reasons why people get depressed during the holidays. But now let's talk about ways to deal with it in a short and sweet other list that I love, apparently, making lists. All right, so first up is stop having those crazy expectations. The holidays are just a day. Like any other day, the sun comes up and it goes down, like at night. So, no, it's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be like you imagined. So try definitely lowering those high expectations that are gonna just set you up for disappointment. And every time you think that you're feeling that way or starting to expect something, distract yourself, distract your mind, or just at least be mindful and realize, well, that's an expectation, right? That everyone's gonna get along at dinner, that no one's gonna get in a fight, that so-and-so is not gonna make a comment about the chairs. And having said that, when you think about an expectation, just think, oh, I just had an expectation there, which probably isn't gonna be that way. That's okay. It's just an expectation that might not happen. And that'll help you kind of process it, being mindful of reality. Another thing is that instead of thinking of it like, for example, the end of the year and it's time to celebrate because it's a special day and there's a special occasion with everybody, try to think of it as like a culmination of the entire year, like all of your most positive, amazing moments that happened that year that really gave you life, that were like, write down your top 10 things that happened this year and think about those every time during the holidays, like every time you celebrate a holiday, because it's really not about that day. It's not about if things go right that day. It's not about the food that day or the people or the music or the drinks. It's to celebrate. It's to celebrate the years. And there's a meaning to each holiday that you can think about depending on what you celebrate. But I can tell you, it probably doesn't have to do with the fact that it's December 20-something or 30-something. So at least look back at the year and be grateful for all of the amazing things or at least somewhat positive. There's gotta be positive things that happen to you, that you learned from, that you grew from, or that helped you. And remind yourself that you're celebrating the good things that happened and not necessarily what's going on in front of you. And the last thing, for those of us who get lonely and don't have a partner or family, try to think about, helping out in your community, because this is a perfect time of giving. This is the time that people think of to really volunteer and donate. And so many local stores, like grocery stores, maybe your local church or place of worship is having like a toy drive or a food drive. Everyone is doing some kind of charity, and it's the perfect time to join in, especially if you're missing friends or family. This will help you feel connected to other people, make new friends, and be around people so you feel less alone. And if you find like a local shelter or a kitchen, you can volunteer and maybe feed the homeless. You'll see like what you really, you'll see that you're helping people, and it'll be personally rewarding. It'll be the spirit of giving, which is what the holidays mean to some of us. And you'll make these connections, and you'll see that you're never really alone. So I hope that helped. I do want to talk about if you are depressed, and it is, depression is a very serious issue, please don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor, okay? They can help. You can also call 911 again if it's an emergency. Or if you just need to talk to someone, there's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which can be reached at 1-800-273-8255. I hope that even if you don't have a happy holiday, that you have a content, depression-free holiday.